Hello and welcome, everyone. Lovely to see some regular faces and also some people I haven't seen for a long time. Yeah, welcome and welcome to those watching or joining on the Zoom, and also to those on the live stream on YouTube. Unfortunately, I can't respond to any questions you put there. But if you want to ask a question, you can always join the Zoom next time. So, our theme today is truth is not always blissful, it is honest. And for those who don't know, I usually do these open meetings twice a month on different themes. And if you ever feel to suggest a theme, you're welcome to email us and suggest a theme, because sometimes it's hard to think of themes, right? And I'd love to hear your suggestions. Yeah. And it can be really a very like, I'm open to any theme, really, pretty much. So yeah, have a think of something that might be an area that you are exploring in your personal experience, that means something to you. Then just email Emilia, who I think you all got the link from today here on the Zoom, and yeah, suggest a theme. So, today's theme. Well, before we get into that, I'd love to just start with a few moments to just tune in with how we're feeling right now. So, if you just get comfortable, you can close your eyes. And just start by taking some deep breaths. And with each breath, bringing more and more attention to what is here now in this present experience, whatever it is for you. Just noticing sensations, sensation of sitting on this seat, or the sounds, background sounds, or the sound of my voice, whatever is the present experience, just the way it is. And as we focus on the present experience, I just invite you to let go of whatever else was happening in your day, in your life, before coming to this session, so that you can really give yourself the gift of letting it all go and being here now with whatever is here. You can always pick it up again afterwards if you still feel to. But for now, just take a break and just fall into presence, the stillness beyond all experience. If you notice any places where you are holding on, and that can be physically, emotionally, or mentally, those things are not a problem, there's nothing wrong, but in this moment, as we bring our attention to those places, there is a natural invitation to loosen even just a tiny little bit. And as we fall into and as this stillness beyond all experience, there can be a sense of coming home or rest, deep rest, in a way that is not found in our passing experiences. And it's so deeply nourishing to consciously acknowledge this right now. So then we can bring our attention back to the sensation of sitting on this seat. And again, we can take some deeper breaths into the belly. And then when you're ready, we can open our eyes, come back to the screen. So our theme today is the truth is not always blissful, but it is honest. I like this theme. Yeah, because in all the years that I've been pointing to this truth, so often it is misunderstood and it is misinterpreted to mean that when I get it, I will be somehow in bliss all the time. And of course, on the spiritual path, we have all kinds of beautiful experiences that can be very blissful. And this inevitably means that we end up chasing the next experience of bliss. And we become actually bliss addicts. And bliss, really, an experience of bliss, whether it's from meditation or sitting with a teacher or going to, a beautiful retreat or falling in love, or whether it's from drugs, it doesn't make any difference. It's just as addictive. Yeah, it's such a beautiful experience, right? We all love it. And one of the reasons why we love it is because in that experience of bliss or expansiveness, we experience ourselves falling away. We experience the sensation of no boundaries, boundlessness, right? We merge with the other or with the environment around us. We have a sense of no separation. And we love this because it is the truth, right? We know that ultimately there is no separation. There are no boundaries that separate you and I. And yet, in most of our lives, in most of our experience, we are experiencing life as if there is separation. And so when we do have an experience of no separation or bliss and are feeling high and expansive, our hearts are open, we're feeling love and a deep calm and peace. Of course, we love that because it is a reflection of what we know to be true. Beyond the experience of that, we have a sense of what we're really searching for, actually, what we're waiting for, we're longing for. And we are waiting and longing for this because we already know it. And that sounds crazy. Why would we be searching for something that we already know? But we know it when we find it because we already know it. It is already who we are. It is the truth of who we are. It's just that the experiences of bliss, they come and go, right? Like every experience, it comes and goes, and it's not reliable. And although it's a reflection of the truth of who we are, it's not the real thing. Because the real thing, the truth, is whatever the experience is. It's not always blissful. It is whatever is here. Right? It comes and goes. The experience comes and goes, and that is aware of it, the truth, it never moves. And this that never moves is really what we're searching for. Because we may chase the very addictive experiences of bliss, but after a while, this chase becomes suffering. It becomes so exhausting and painful because every time we might have an experience of bliss, it inevitably passes and we crash down to the ground. And that in itself is painful and disappointing and frustrating. And then we try whatever we can to get back there. And we try and we try and we try, and often we're failing. And we have to meet that frustration and disappointment again and again. We have to meet the discomfort of life, the pain, the fear, or whatever happens in our normal human experience. It's normally not so blissful. And that's just the honest truth of being human, right? And so after a while, we get exhausted chasing these temporary experiences of bliss because we realize that those experiences are going to pass. So why bother? Right? Why bother putting all that effort in for a temporary experience that will never really most deeply satisfy that chasing feeling, that restless feeling of wanting more, 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 wanting the next fix, that addiction, right? So when we really get exhausted from that, we might feel at first very disappointed with the whole spiritual search. Some people at that point give up the whole spiritual search and just say it's all a load of bullshit, right? And they become almost anti-spiritual. And that's a phase, right? Sometimes a very necessary phase, a very rebellious, necessary phase, where you start to actually realize that truth is not outside of who I am. It's not something that I need to adjust myself. It's not dependent on how I'm being, certain experiences that I might be having, or feelings or thoughts that I might be having. It's not dependent on what I do or what I don't do. It is beyond all of that. Yeah. And when we realize that, at first we might reject it all, but this rejection of the whole spiritual path is in a way of bringing the energy back here, saying, yeah, it's not out there, and nobody else out there can give it to me. It's not about a passing experience. It's about meeting myself in whatever is here, being really honest with myself. Okay, this sensation right now, yeah, it's a bit uncomfortable, but this is what's here. This emotion is passing through, and yeah, maybe I want to have a cry or a scream. Yes, this is what's here. This is being human. And beyond all of it is that stillness, which is ultimate bliss, but it's not an experience of bliss. And that's where the mind gets very confused, because we're talking about a paradox that the mind can't grasp. It's not any kind of passing experience of anything. All these most beautiful spiritual words like bliss and stillness and silence and awareness, truth, you know, the mind can take all of those words and seemingly turn them into some kind of state to grasp or to become or to do. And it just can't be done by the mind. So the mind needs to become exhausted and frustrated and disappointed and hopeless, right? So that it sees more and more that it can't be done. It's not in the future, it's not out there. It's in the very simple meeting what's here. And as we meet this sensation right now, we automatically know the stillness beyond it. It's not separate from this sensation. As we feel this sensation, you can try it right now, right? As you feel this sensation presently, not thinking about the sensation, but just feeling it. There's the sensation, but simultaneously there is a stillness beyond the sensation. It's something to play with, to explore in your experience. Anytime, any sensation, any sound, any conversation that you're having. There seems to be movement, there seems to be action, sounds, sensations, images, but there is this stillness beyond it. And that's the true bliss. Simply acknowledging the bliss or the stillness that is beyond all experiences of bliss or all experiences of anything. So then the focus is not on the experience, the focus is on that is aware of it, or the stillness that is beyond it, with it. This is not an escape from the sensation. This is very much with the sensation. Feel the sensation, but simultaneously know the truth of it, which is that it's made of stillness. So, love to hear from you. I see some comments. Yeah. I can respond to questions or comments in the chat, but I also would love to respond to any questions that you might have, or not just questions, but anything you'd like to explore together in a dialogue. So if you would like to have a dialogue, you can just raise your hand. Ah, Caroline.
Hello.
Hi, nice to see you.
So very nice to be here. Really nice. I was just thinking that at this time, in my heart, there's quite a lot of heavy sadness about what's going on in the world and the divisions that are being created and the implications of that and the feeling of danger and imminent insecurity.
Yeah.
And at the same time, when you were talking about the stillness beyond these feelings, emotions, and states, and I was able to locate that stillness, the feeling in my heart is still there, but it becomes lighter when I recognize my stillness.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not spiritually diverting or avoiding, but it becomes less of the big picture in my life, although it's still there and acknowledging it. But I know that there is a stillness I can be and go to, which is a refuge. And I hope this is not spiritually bypassing the issues. And there's a very little difference. I wonder what is the real difference, because sometimes it can feel that life is not always joyful and blissful, as I've just said.
Yeah.
So, what is the real differential points about being non-attached and still in the mind? What are the signposts to know where you are really?
Yeah, it's a great question. In a way, it sounds like you're asking the difference between spiritual bypassing and acknowledging the presence or the stillness that you are in the midst of discomfort or fear or any human issues. Yeah. Well, I would say that the difference really is in the belief that you have about it. Yeah. That when you acknowledge the stillness, you are actually bringing the attention out of the mind to the present moment. And anytime you do that, you will be able to see that right now life is very simple, right? And actually right now safe, right? So if you're worrying about the future, or what might be coming, or what's happening in the world. Well, not to discount any of that, but when you feed that story, it just grows. The drama of it grows and the fear of it grows. And anytime you bring your attention back to what is present, you look around, you feel the sensations right now, you can drop into the simplicity and the stillness. And if you take that to be a way of escaping, that you go to anytime you're feeling any kind of discomfort, um, it can start to be some kind of bypass, can be a practice where you soothe yourself. And there's nothing wrong with that. And actually, even spiritual bypassing, um, really, there's nothing wrong with that either. It's another way of self-soothing, and we all need to do that for ourselves at some point. It might be a phase that we go through, that where that feels very necessary, and at a certain point it passes, and it no longer feels necessary. So it's different and unique for everybody. Um, yeah, but really the truth, or the stillness that I'm pointing to, it's not an experience that comes and goes. So it's still, even when you are worrying about the future, or afraid for your life, even, it's always there in the background, in the midst of that. So that can be an interesting experiment to explore in the midst of when you are feeling afraid. See if you can notice, I mean, also when there are thoughts going on, right? A lot of thoughts and fears and feelings. See if you can notice that there is a knowing of that happening at the same time. And that is always still, even when the world is in turmoil. And just knowing that gives some rest. And we can also see where we might be feeding some kind of drama. Right? And I'm not saying that what's going in the world on in the world is just a story and just a drama that we should get over and just be present. I don't mean that. I mean like that we might be feeding our fear of what's going on, and that doesn't help what's going on in the world. It doesn't help you. It is a natural response, of course, but when we are thinking about it and turning it over in our minds, we're kind of feeding the fear, and it is snowballing in us. And that in itself can become very addictive. So sometimes we need to self-soothe when we're feeling a bit like that. Yeah. So I don't know if that answers your questions.
Yes, it does. And I think that it is very important for me not to, and I try not to, overdwell on situations. I know what's going on, more or less. I don't know the whole picture.
Mm.
Nobody does, probably. But I kind of got the idea of what's going on. And in general, there are lots of things going on about climate disaster, all the conflicts everywhere and disagreements, and a desire that when will and a big question, how can we um, well, apart from forming cliques of small communities or meetings, such as the way you do, how do we raise the consciousness to a point that we don't dive into disaster? Well, that's a whole big other matter. Um, so I believe the only way really is to, for me, I know what's going on. There is a sadness here it is, but to do my best to raise my consciousness up to a level that I can acknowledge but not be so affected.
Yeah.
And um, therefore, I can, in that way, be a cause for a better effect for other people who may come into contact with me rather than have an energy of disaster, have an energy at least of doing my best to uplift myself and be
Yeah.
an agent for change, possibly in small ways in interactions in that way. And that's all I can see I can do.
Yeah, I mean that's yeah, that's what I would have said, like that actually it's about you, you know. If you want to change the world, start with yourself, right?
Yeah, only. It has to be within me first
Yeah, otherwise it's just a
because,
conceptual thing and it's a movement of energy that comes out of um probably out of your own trauma and an idea of how life should be. So first, look at yourself and notice where you are feeding the hype of it, and yeah, and don't spread that fear as much as you can, right? Yeah,
and there is also, as you touched upon, this old um, taught, which is given by some teachers, that it's all bliss. Once you've reached enlightenment, you'll be in this blissful state. So therefore, it makes me question, well, I'm not always in this blissful state. Therefore, according to certain teachers, I have not arrived, I have not acknowledged, I do not live in my real natural state because I'm not in bliss. And that's a hard one because that's my original question. So if you're not in that state of bliss, but you're just in a more, I can be in a more quiet, calm state for sure. But that's not necessarily what we are talking about as an awakening. So what are the pointers of the difference?
yeah, between a calm state and awakening.
Yes, if
Mm,
it's not
yeah,
bliss there.
yeah, 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 yeah. Well, the thing is that as the title of this talk is, sorry, I've got sun shining on my face here. It's the sunset. Um, I'm just going to move a little bit. No, no, that's worse. Okay, a little like this. Okay, try that for a bit. It will change. Um, yeah, so it's um, awakening is about the truth, right? It's not about having a calm experience, although there may be byproducts of calm experiences. But awakening is awakening to the truth. That's like the title of this talk. That it's honest. It's not about how we'd like it to be. It's waking up out of the dream of of the thinking, essentially. Right? Whatever the thinking thinks. Yeah. Well, thank you, Caroline.
Thank
And
you very much.
nice to hear from you and see you. Is that Sashko? Did you put your hand up? Yeah.
Hi, Unmani.
Hi.
Your words in the beginning, they pulls me. It feels like it pulls me to a point, to a center, something like that. And the question is if you can say something about that. It feels that it's focusing somehow, but in the same time it makes more wider how it can be, or is it, I don't know if it's only words, but it feels a little bit like that it's a paradox, it's a difference, but it's the same.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like it's very focusing on the human experience, on the human level, right? This experience.
No, it's focusing to myself.
Okay, so
It's
maybe
focusing to something that feels that then there's nothing else there.
Yeah. It's interesting that you use the word focusing for that, because certainly I imagine the word focusing like kind of coming to a point, whereas yourself is, yeah, wide, but yeah, also this point presently. But yeah, that's why I'm curious to hear what you mean by focusing.
Yeah, it was this feeling while you were talking that it's going to pulse me this inside, and I don't know why I had this feeling of going to a point also. Maybe then
Maybe the point is like this disappearing.
no, it feels more like coming home, like, and it gets more calm and less stories.
Yes, I mean like disappearing in terms of like disappearing as your separate self. Right.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, when we put language to this, of course, you can never say this in words, right?
Yeah.
So a word that means something to you means something different to me or anybody else. But I get a feeling of what you're describing.
I don't understand it myself, so doesn't matter.
Well, that's good.
But it was
Good.
nice.
Because oh God, good. No, I'm glad that you don't understand it, because if you did understand it, your mind would take it, turn it into some kind of conceptual story. So, and that would only get in the way.
Yeah. At this point, I don't need a story also. No.
Yeah, great.
Thanks. I
Thank
think I have nothing to say.
you. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Misa.
Hi, Unmani.
Hi,
Um,
nice to see you.
good to see you. I had a question about this stillness or this big thing. Like if you follow teachings from, for example, from Buddhism, then or Christianity, they they want you to train a lot in like in Buddhism in bodhicitta, that you care for everybody.
Mm.
and and in Christianity, all about love and loving everybody. And how does that relate to this awareness?
Yeah, great question also. Yeah. Yeah, because often we hear these kinds of concepts and then we try to be loving and to
Yeah,
love everyone.
yeah,
And then when we don't feel loving or we don't feel Like when we have thoughts that are unkind, then we kind of beat ourselves up, like as if doing something wrong, we're not spiritual or something. But first of all, it's really the nature of the mind to come with all kind of judgments and criticisms and unkind thoughts. You can have kind thoughts and you can have unkind thoughts, but they're still thoughts. You can have loving thoughts and unloving thoughts, hateful thoughts. It's all just thought. So then the question is, what is true compassion or love?
Yeah.
I would say it's another word for who you are.
All right. So it is the same. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And the reason why I or other teachers might use the word love instead of awareness sometimes is that, we might be pointing to different aspects of the same thing. So when I speak about stillness or silence or awareness, I'm speaking about it as like the background to everything. But when I use the word like love or compassion, I'm speaking about the same thing. It's the background, but I'm pointing to the fact that the background is aware no matter what is in the foreground. So no matter what is here, the background stays the same. Right? So you could say that that's love, loving whatever is in the foreground. It's unconditional love because it doesn't move, it doesn't have a preference for one thing over another. It's just still, it's just aware. But that awareness is unconditional love simply because whatever arises in the experience is absolutely welcome to be here. No one's saying you can't be here or you can't be here. It's totally welcome. So even thoughts where you might, have, let's say, hateful thoughts, they are also arising in love. So obviously, if we believe in those kinds of hateful thoughts and feed those thoughts and feelings, they will grow and we will overlook that our true nature is love. But the same with thoughts about love and compassion. You can believe in those thoughts and you might have a nice experience of more love, but you will also exclude half of your experience, anything
Yeah.
uncomfortable or
Yeah,
not
exactly.
loving enough. So you will kind of split yourself off. Um, and this isn't the unconditional love. This is a very conditional type of love when it's love from the mind, actually, what we think love should be like. So this love that you are is so much bigger. It's mind-blowing, right? Because it includes it all. And when we acknowledge that, there is a compassion that comes from that. When we meet somebody else and we know ourselves to be that love that is beyond it all, and we know that they are also that because we are all that, then there is a natural compassion that comes in surprising ways. It doesn't always look sweet and smile sweetly or, do nice things or, it's not expected necessarily, but it's more about a responding in the moment because we feel so intensely the sensations that are going on here. And then we also feel naturally what's going on with people and animals and the environment around us, simply because we're so sensitive to our own sensations, we naturally feel, everything around us, essentially because we're not separate. So we feel the field.
Mm.
And then there's a natural responding in compassion, from compassion, without trying to be compassionate.
Yeah.
That's not needed, right? That's too much effort.
Yeah.
And the action or what you say or do, it might not look nice. It might come out in a quite horrible way, for example. It might be, someone might look at it and say, wow, that's not very nice. But if it's coming from what is true, it can be surprising. Sometimes it's coming in an honest way, in a truthful way that doesn't always feel sweet and nice.
Okay, yeah.
It's also about sensitivity, right? So I'm not saying that we should go around, being ruthlessly honest to everybody around us, because that can also be really
That
hurtful.
doesn't help.
And
Yeah.
it's not necessary, right? Sometimes it's good, but we can also be sensitive as to when it is the right time to be truthful. It's not about trying to fix anyone or change anyone. It's coming from the love that we are. It's a sense of knowing, that we can trust more and more.
Oh, thanks, Unmani. This
Thank you. Yeah.
Umani, I'm sorry, I don't know how to raise I'm in the car right now, so I can't
Okay.
raise my
Hi.
hand. But if no one else has a question, I have kind of a dumb question, and I don't want to waste our time with it too much unless if someone
Okay.
else has got a good one. But
Well, let's keep it short then. Let's see. So we have time for another
okay,
one afterwards.
and this is not the kind of question I would normally ask, but it's come up at my church, which I go to actually. In like the Ten Commandments, for example, um, to me, because I come more from my heart and love, I know the Ten Commandments are there because they basically are good precepts to live by without causing harm and for our best happiness. However, I see I'm at a church that I would normally not go to, but I do love they are trying to love God, and there's something there that is is better than going to just a completely unspiritual social place.
Yeah. So what is your what was the
But
dumb
I'm
question?
struggling with the black and whiteness of it, and I just wondered if you have any thoughts on things like the Ten Commandments, because to me, love can make exceptions, and it bothers me the black and whiteness of it. Do you have any thoughts on that stupid question? Sorry. Go ahead.
You mean like, for example, love your neighbor, or I
Well,
can't think of what are the no, that's not
yes,
commandments.
like all those. That's
Don't
not a good
kill.
example because that is, that's the essence of love. But more like more the like
You mean
love
like
be.
don't steal and don't kill and
Yes,
these kind of things.
exactly. Yes,
Yeah.
because that was like don't kill can be someone could be very hateful in their mind, but because I don't know. What are your thoughts on those?
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah. So my feeling that is, that when people make rules and laws, they do that, because generally people are believing in their minds, right? They're taking their thoughts to be meaningful. And in a world, in a society where mostly we are believing in our thoughts, then having rules and laws like that are important, because if you remember that you shouldn't steal, then that might stop you perhaps if you feel like stealing. But if you recognize your true nature, right, that it is unbound by any rules or laws. It is always free, and it doesn't need or depend upon any rules or laws. Then you can also tune into, let's say, a natural law or a natural sense of what is right and wrong in that knowing. And then you would know for yourself that killing someone or what else? Sleeping with someone else's partner, or these kind of fundamental things that we have a sense that they're wrong, we feel when something is out of alignment. But we only feel that when we are more sensitive to ourselves, to the world, to life, But if we're not so sensitive, then we need some rules, right? And the majority of the world, I guess, is not so sensitive to these things, to their true nature. Yeah. So I guess I'm saying also that it's more about trusting your own innate sense of what is true and right and wrong. And it's not a concept. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Vitesha, I see that you've asked where the hand is. Do you want to ask something? There are two of you now. If you want to, you're welcome. Yeah, Vitesha, you can unmute yourself. Can you unmute yourself? Okay, well, I'll give you a few moments. Ah, there you are.
Yeah, it's about that I am feeling I wasted my life here. And
Feel wasted your life.
yeah, that I did exactly all the wrong things. I did.
Mm.
I did all the wrong things.
How do you know that? What's the proof of that in your experience?
Because when I think back, when I see what I have, yeah, I could have done many other, many chances, yeah. And now it's a little late.
So you feel regret?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I feel
Mm.
regret, yeah. But I just, yeah. But I live now, so
Yeah, so actually, what does regret do for you? It's painful, isn't it? I mean, and it's kind of trying to get back to the past to change it, and you'll never be able to get back to the past to change it.
no.
So
If I could go back to the past and change this, but that's not possible. Okay, what to do?
yeah, it is painful, but feeding that regret is, in a way, it's a way of avoiding the heartbreak of some of those decisions or actions.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's just about feeling the pain of it now,
Yes.
and there's an acceptance in that yes, it did happen the way it did happen, and that's painful to feel that, and just to be with the heartbreak.
Okay. Nice to see you.
And you. although your picture's covered probably by your finger now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Lovely to see you too. Okay, thanks, Vitesha.
Okay, love you. Bye bye.
Yeah.
Later.
I see in the chat, Marco, you've written, the longing feeds the chase, so it keeps itself alive. Yeah, this is an interesting point that I would say that we all have some sense of longing that brings us here, or that, keeps us, searching for the truth, or exploring ourselves in different ways. And it's a thin line between acknowledging that longing and then the mental overlay of trying to get it, trying to become it, trying to do it. That is the thinking trying to help with that painful longing. It's not always painful, actually, but it can be painful. And when it is painful and uncomfortable, then the thinking wants to help. And that really is what feeds the chase. The longing itself is just happening presently. It's not really longing for something in the future or out there. It's just longing now. It's not longing for anything. It's just the truth of this present experience. And actually, it's an invitation to meet it, to feel it, to disappear into it, and to not chase the next thing, but just to meet the longing and to follow the longing wherever it might take you, but not the chase. It's a difference. There's a subtle difference sometimes, but quite an obvious difference. Mm. So, any other questions or anything you'd like to explore? Well, we can stop.
I do have a question.
Okay. Oh, yes. Okay, make it a short one. Yeah.
Yeah. I sit and do the practice of trying to be aware of awareness. I read Michael Langford's book, and he recommends that as one of the few things you can do. And when I do it, I'm aware of, like, kind of what you were talking about, where there's always something aware, like right now, aware that I'm asking this question, aware that of everything that's happening. But it takes me like a mental effort at this point to turn my attention towards it. And I wonder if you think I'm doing something, is this a good practice worth the time, or am I missing something, or is there anything we can do to bring this, realization more?
I would say that, whatever practice resonates for you, you do it for as long as it resonates, right? And if that feels true for you and feels like it resonates, do it. Because whatever practice you're doing, doesn't matter what, you've been drawn to that by your longing. And And so you need to do it, and as long as it feels in alignment with that longing. And also it's about exhausting the mind. Trying this, trying that, trying this, try it all. And you can see that in the end that awareness is always here. You don't need to practice being aware of awareness. But you don't just believe me. You have to try and see it for yourself.
Do you think it's like worth the time to do it? I mean, is it on the right track?
I think that you need to find the answer to this for yourself by trying it and trying it and trying it and checking with yourself.
It does seem to help.
One second. By checking with yourself that, does this feel true? Does this help in some way? Something that I feel I need help with? Or does this perpetuate the chase? Am I continually wanting to chase more by doing this? And if so, there's also nothing wrong with that. But if it feeds that chase, that will cause more suffering. So I'm not going to give you the answer of whether it's right or wrong, because it's really for you to find that out in your experience.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Very thoughtful.
Thank you. Okay, Sashka, last one.
I'm asking myself, maybe you can say something about it, why I'm afraid about intense. There's, on the one side, I'm longing for intensity, but in the same moment, I'm afraid about.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it sounds like, this push-pull of life and death, right? Or, longing to come alive more, but at the same time, longing to die, longing to disappear, to merge into everything, nothing. And, because you have a sense that intensity or intimacy is death, essentially. It's the death of who you have believed yourself to be. And so there's a natural fearing of that to stay alive in your thoughts, right? And at the same time, there's the longing to stop all the effort, to stop fighting it, and just to fall into it.
that's very simple, yes. But at the moment it feels that I have to wait, that the longing gets bigger than the fear. Is
Yeah.
it like that?
Yeah, sometimes it has to be like that. Like, that the longing, that there's the longing gets more intense or more painful, more unbearable to, impossible to ignore. That you rather go with the longing than hold back and make all the effort to stay in fear and stay separate. Yeah, life is a mysterious process. Okay. Okay, well, I think we will stop there for today. And just to let you know that, first of all, the next open meeting is on the 19th of October on the theme Beyond Awakening, the End of Specialness. And then also, I've just recently put on my website, I'm going to do a 6-week journey with the theme Grief as a Doorway to Spiritual Awakening. And it will be 6 sessions, like 6 online, over 6 weeks, exploring this theme. So there's lots of detail on my website if you're interested in that. Yeah. So I look forward to seeing you next time. Lots of love to everyone. Bye.